We're going live in 3, 2, 1, and we are live for a new episode of the Electrek podcast. I am Fred Lambert, your host, and as usual, I'm joined by Seth Wintraub. How are you doing today, Seth?
I'm good.
All right, I hope you're better than me because you guys gonna excuse my performance during this podcast. It's 5 a.m. for me right now in China. I literally just woke up 15 minutes ago for this, so I'm still pretty much waking up, and I'm feeling a little bit under the weather because I've been just running around all week trying to get some good reporting from you guys on these Chinese companies and Chinese technology that's coming out. So I was in Guangzhou for Xpeng earlier this week, and now I just arrived in Shenzhen, which is a crazy cyberpunk city where a lot of AV automakers are based out at. Most famously, obviously, BYD. But a bunch of other things too, like DJI. We're trying to get into DJI and check them out because apparently it's like
that'd be awesome.
Craziest headquarters ever. Yeah. Get a little report from Drone DJ.
Actually, if you want, I can talk to my PR people there.
Yeah, if you can, because we are having issues to get in. They are not. Well, I mean, it's because of the filming too. So for people who don't know, there's a documentary crew also with me, following me around for this, and sometimes, like especially in China, they are a little bit wary of that stuff when there's filming around. But it's mostly when it comes to factories. So apparently, every Chinese companies have to have government authorization to let people film inside factories. So I mean, we skip that most of the time because it's just too complicated to get. But when you're very good at corporate spying, you get worried that other people are going to do it to you.
I was just thinking that exact thing.
All right, so what we're going to talk about this week on the podcast, and again, I apologize for if my state of mind is not as sharp as it usually is. We're going to talk about the Tesla shareholders meeting, and the news that came out of it. Then I'm going to talk to you guys about this Xpeng AI day that Xpeng they say. It's the true pronunciation, Xpeng. In China this week where I was at. I'm going to give you my thoughts on that. And then there was a Rivian's earnings too that we're going to touch a little bit about. I haven't looked into them, to be honest. And then there was the probably the biggest news of the week, at least on the website it was the rumor that, or further rumor that Ford is killing the electric F-150 Lightning. And then we have an updated BMW i4, and we have Toyota teasing what some people think is their first all-electric pickup truck. All right. The shareholder meeting. So unsurprisingly, and I don't know why they had to invest millions and millions of dollars into marketing, because Elon got his $1 billion
Trillion
package. Trillion. You're right. Sorry. That's my first error from being just waking up. It's the trillion with a T.
Oh, it's forgivable. Nobody would believe that.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like we talked about it quite a bit. Like there's the shareholder dilemma, like in Elon threatening to leave, that creates a situation where a lot of people feel stuck. They feel like they're being blackmailed, and that if they don't give it, and Elon is creating this whole situation obviously because he could have went with a way more reasonable package. He could have went with a salary. He could have went with anything else, but he is the one forcing this all or nothing deal. So then you're like, all right, if you want him to get paid, you kind of have to give him to give him that. Otherwise, it's like he says, I'm getting nothing, and I'm not staying here. Obviously, there's the other argument that he's been using, which has been that it's about control, and I don't want to create an AI army if our AI robot army if I don't have enough control. But we also broken down that argument as being false, because there's plenty of other options to give him more control. He's already the biggest shareholders. He already is. I in the title of the podcast I said that Tesla is now Elon's, and it already was. It's just now it's sealed, pending most likely a ton of other shareholder lawsuits about this other package. Even though shareholder lawsuits have become more difficult, thanks to the move into Texas and thanks to the I think now you need 6% of shareholders to band together to put a new lawsuit in. But considering that 75%, so that's the vote, by the way, 75% of investors have voted for it. There's 25% that are against it, so it's very much possible. And they reelected also the three directors that were up for re-election. They approve, and this is the craziest one. And I posted that on Jamie made an article earlier this week on it, and I broke it down. Sorry, a similar argument about it too. After is since they're giving this giant stock compensation package, stock options, they need to approve adding new shares to the float, and so the new stock reserve basically. And for Elon, it can go up to 400 million shares. This package, it's nuts. But I mean, it's extremely long term if it happens. But there are a bunch of goals that are much more short terms that could give Elon a lot more shares sooner. We discussed that. We discussed like Tesla could underperform the market and he still could get like up to $40-50 billion of stocks. But so for now, they are reserving an extra 208 million shares for Elon, specifically for his new package. Meanwhile, all of their Tesla employees are also getting stock option. It's one of the big way that they are rewarding employees. They're compensating employees. It's something that Elon has a lot of pride about. They said even like factory workers are getting stock options based on performance. Some not based on performance also. But technically, every stock option is based on performance because you want to perform for the company to increase the price of the stock. So then, when you get a stock option at a discounted price, it's worth more. So every stock option is performance based, basically. And those reserved for all of their employees. And a quick reminder that Tesla has over 120,000 employees, so maybe over 130,000 at this point. It's 66 million stocks. 208 reserved for Elon, 66 reserved for all other employees combined. So basically, if you're voting for this, and you already have voted for this, if you're Tesla shareholders, more likely than not, you are kind of saying that Elon's output is more valuable than all other employees combined times 3. I am convinced that some singular employees at Tesla have a higher output than Elon. On the pure like bottom line for Tesla, I'm talking about reality here. Bottom line. I'm not talking about stock market value. For stock market value, no doubt Elon is worth more than any employee. I don't think he's worth more than all of their employees combined times 3 for a stock price. But it's harder to gauge, and it's obviously disproportionate because a lot of Tesla's value is linked to his predictions and his lies, to be honest, about Tesla's performance and future performance. They also voted down the proposal for sustainability and child labor audit requirements because, that's the world we live in right now. They are considering to limit shareholders' ability to hold Tesla accountable for breach of fiduciary duty unless the shareholder owns over 44 billion in stock. Again, shareholders are shooting themselves in the foot with machine gun at this point. And did they vote? So they voted for the XAI proposal. Well, shareholders did not vote to the board to bail out the Musk private company. Oh, so there's some sense to this whole thing. But anyway, I think one of the strongest lawsuits against Tesla right now is the breach of fiduciary duty lawsuits in Delaware over the XAI stuff between Elon and Tesla. And they managed to squeeze it in right before the move to Texas. And I think this is going to be the crux of it anyway. I don't Tesla investing in it probably. I honestly, I think if everything follows the law, I'm no lawyer, and this is not legal advice. I think Tesla might end up owning XAI, or at least owning Elon's stake in XAI. I think that's where things are going. Now, if Elon is, now the thing is, as crazy as it sounds, I don't think they have the authority to remove Elon from Tesla. So Elon now owning a majority of Tesla would, well, not a majority, but a much higher stake in Tesla wouldn't change much for him. The SEC would need to then look at the breach of fiduciary duty lawsuit, and then look at this if it's possible securities fraud, and then go after Elon to remove him from Tesla. And that I have a lot less hope for. I don't think. I think it's much less likely to happen than the Delaware breach of fiduciary lawsuit, finding that Elon has been in breach of fiduciary duty, doing reverse tunneling between his private and public company, and all that. All right. So yeah, now basically that seals the fate for Tesla. They are, unless what I just said happened, it's Elon is in full control, as apparent by the way that the shareholders voted, which we were expecting, and then now going forward, Elon could receive, if all goes well for Tesla, and not necessarily go well, but go like average or not too poorly, he will get at least tens of billions more, potentially up to $1 trillion, and be in full control of Tesla, because you need a 2/3 majority thing, and if he gets like even closer to like 20% shareholder control, share control, he just needs like a few friends like Larry Ellison, or even like it's I'm sure the board is gonna get rewarded heavily for pushing that thing now. Look for board compensation to go through the roof again, and they could help him keep control easily now. All right, now how about the news that came out of the meeting? Texting and driving. So there's the Elon repeated, as recently. Sorry, I'm still a little foggy. As recently as a few months ago, Elon was still like talking about end of the year we're gonna have unsupervised self-driving in consumer vehicle. End of the year we're gonna remove the supervisor inside the robotaxi in Austin and all that. He's not, now he's talking in a few months, so he's already opening the door to delaying past the end of the year, which shocking. But now this time he also introduced this idea that confused me, and I want your take on it, Seth, and I want people's take on it too. If you guys are in the comments right now, I would like to get your take on this. He talked a little bit about it before, but now he put an actual deadline on it and everything. He said that the killer app is texting and driving. So if we allow texting and driving inside the car on FSD, that's when you know that it's good enough now, and it can actually like add time, even though Tesla is already saying that it's going to add time to your day and everything. So now he said that we will allow texting and driving on FSD in a month or two. And that's confusing. That's a confusing thing to say, because what does that mean? Because the law is pretty clear that texting and driving is not legal, and it comes with heavy fines and legal repercussion if you're caught. So it's not texting and driving, it's texting while FSD is driving. But then who is responsible then? So is it to me, that means at least level 3. That means like in a Mercedes-Benz, in some stretches of highway in California and Nevada and in Germany, you're allowed to give the car full control for a certain stretch of highways, and it's level 3 officially. Mercedes is taking responsibility for the system during that period of time, and then you can text, then you can read your email or whatever. So is Tesla doing that? And if so, I cannot see really Tesla doing that, because that comes with a lot of steps. That's come with a lot of regulatory steps and legal and insurance steps to put in place to make that happen. It would need to be attached probably with the Tesla insurance, so it would only be available where Tesla has Tesla insurance, because so far as I can tell, no one wants to underwrite for Tesla insurance on robotaxi, so it's very similar. So it's either that or Tesla launched an actual level 4 unsupervised self-driving consumer, which is, he doesn't seem to be talking like that. So He specifically said we will allow texting and driving. So the only other option I see, which is the shadiest of option, but to me now starting to look the most likely one, is that they will simply stop monitoring for texting while you're, the driver monitoring system that looks at you with cameras. Right now, if you pull out your phone for more than a few seconds, it will tell you, hey, look at the road, put your phone down. You're not allowed to do that when you're using FSD. And now it would just stop doing that. If it detects that you're on your phone, it would let you do it, which is, I think, within the laws is fine, because there's no automakers that can, enforce you to not be on your phone. They can just, they can do things like not let you use their hands-free ADAS system, which is still what FSD is. So I think Tesla could technically not enforce that if they wanted to. Now it opens a whole new legal can of worms because Tesla has already been found partly responsible for level 2 ADS crashes, just for the way that they marketed and the way they talked about it to drivers, overselling it basically. And now imagine if someone gets on a crash with while on their phone on FSD, and they can, even though it probably still was the alert when you started FSD that hey, please pay attention, you're in control all the time. Tesla is not responsible. Now you can go to court and say, hey, wait a minute, Elon was on stage telling me we are allowed to text and drive. They stopped monitoring for texting and driving, and it changes everything basically on that front. Like it makes it a lot easier for to put blame on Tesla at the legal level, I think. And beyond that, so that should be like the legal trip for Tesla. There's also the responsibility of, like, people most likely are going to die from this, and they should care at least a little. What do you think,
Mike the car geek brings up a point that I was thinking about, and it's that people with Apple's CarPlay, Android Auto, they've been texting hands-free for years, like a long time. Mm-hmm. You can't do that. I mean, you kind of do. Some text do come up on the display with the Tesla, and Rivian, but it's not nearly as convenient. And the fact that he calls it a killer app, to me, is like comical, because if that was the killer app, then nobody would buy a Tesla for the last 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. Good point.
Yeah. To the point of the, like, what level is this? Is it level 3? Like, would it be level 3 if you can text?
If Tesla takes responsibility while you're texting, which was, I think, so in my head, those are the two options. So level 3 is like the right way to do it,
right?
Or there's just stop monitoring for drivers texting. Those are the two options in my head.
Yeah. So what we know from Tesla is usually they take the shadier approach. So
yeah, I think it shows that Elon. It shows that Elon, like, to your point, that FSD, that he think it's a killer app and everything. It shows that he's so disconnected for the rest of the market right now. Like he barely focused on Tesla between all these other things. So how can he even know what's out there? Like he's been in a car with Apple CarPlay in the last 5 years? Like I would bet not. Like it's hard for him, I think, to really gauge what's out there.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at the Cadillac Escalade in 2027. It's going to have, like, basically you can do everything but go to sleep. And this is what, 2026 that they're promising to be able to text. Mm-hmm. It seems like this is kind of slipping away.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, promising to text, and there's no clear mention of unsupervised now. Still talking about removing the safety driver in the robotaxi in a few months, but even then, the only hard data that we have, we discussed them a few weeks ago, is that Tesla is basically having a crash every 62,000 miles on the robotaxi, and that's with the safety driver in there, so preventing who knows how many more crashes. They clearly don't seem to be ready for any kind of mainstream rollout of robotaxi or unsupervised
Dan
self-driving.
Oberstay has a comment: killer app, capital killer.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not. All right, there was a little bit of an update on the Roadster. Elon has been talking about end of the year, crazy demo, most unforgettable demo ever, flying car on the Joe Rogan. He was really, really weird about it. He was, Joe was trying to be sly, but he was just like misleading people into thinking this is going to be a flying car. And we see a lot of that. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later with Xpeng, but the term flying car is being thrown around quite a bit these days, and it's just not what people actually think of when they think of a flying car. And Xpeng actually, during the on-stage presentation, admitted it, and the CEO was like, we call it a flying car, but really it's a low-altitude eVTOL aircraft. And in this case, it's not even that for Elon. It's just probably going to be a demo of the Roadster hovering in the air a few seconds with some fan system, which for fans mostly for downforce by sucking out air underneath the vehicle to create a vacuum. But technically, if the system is powerful enough, you can reverse it and also make the car just float for a while. No real purpose for it other than showing up for a demo, which is, if you're listening to Elon carefully, it's all he's talking about. Then he's saying obviously that the Roadster is going to be like the craziest car ever and like a James Bond-like car and everything. And like, sure, that's cool. But now he's talking about this being pushed to April 1st, which is concerning. April Fool's Day.
Yep.
So it's been delayed a few months. And then from there, production in like 12 to 18 months, which would push production to 2027, 2028, a good 10 years after the Roadster was really unveiled, which, it's dumb. Like, what? When the Roadster was unveiled, it was a hit. People loved it. It was a beautiful car. Still is. Like, you don't need to update the design that much. Still a beautiful car, holding up, age well. People love the 620 miles of range, 1,000 kilometers of range. Love the 0 to 100 to 60 miles per hour in 1.9 seconds. Love the design and everything. Why don't you make that? Like, why delay it for years and years and years for a demo of it flying around for a few seconds? It's silly. It's doesn't contribute to the mission whatsoever. It makes Tesla look like what it is now, and it's a factory for failed promises, it feels like. So yeah, that thing. He said the product unveiled for the Roadster 2, which will be very different than what we've shown previously. Why? It was great what you showed previously. That demo even will be on April 1st of next year. So they want to. I guess he's been inspired by the Xpeng stuffs this week, where they unveiled their new robot, and everyone thought that it was like a human in a suit. And
They had to
were
rip off
lying.
his leg. I saw that.
Yeah, they had to rip off the leg. They had to open up the skin because it has a new skin, the robot. Like, you can just put it in a suit, basically. So it does look a lot like a human
Terminator.
inside. And Terminator. And then the gait of the robot was what was most impressive, something that no one has never seen before, even in Optimus. So it created a lot of talk. So I feel like Elon wants to do it on April Fool, so that the car flies for a few seconds, and people are like, "Oh, that's fake because it's April Fools," and then they do it the next day with a different demo, a little bit like, "No, it's not an April Fools. It's actually really cool." Oh, genius marketing and all that. But then he says, yeah, he literally says, I have some deniability because I can see that I was just kidding. But we are actually tentatively aiming for April 1st. Literally, like a month ago, he was saying by the end of the year. A month ago, he was saying by the end of the year. Now,
not a month ago. It was a week ago, like on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, on Joe Rogan, he was being a little bit more weird about the timeline. But yeah, I think when he did mention it, probably. I think.
He said by the end of the year, and then Joe Rogan was like, "Are you sure it's 2 months away?"
Yeah,
And he's like, "Well, maybe
yeah,
not the end of the
yeah,
year."
exactly. His usual, like, keeping the door open for missing deadlines. But so he went from that a week or two ago but we are actually tentatively aiming for April 1st, which is 4 months later. So no sense. Um, for what I think it will be the most exciting, whether it works or not, demo of any product, and then I guess production is probably 12 to 18 months after that. I think production is about a year or so after that. Huh? Okay, he kind of repeated himself, I guess. Um, yeah, that's disappointing as hell. It's just, let me just. So that's the Roadster news that came out of the shareholder event. Oh, I'm gonna skip this one for now because I misplaced a semi truck that I posted after I made the post for the podcast. There was a brief update on the Tesla semi. They didn't talk about it too much, but they did unveil this slide, and Tesla did say that they have come up with a new version of it that is more efficient, have an increased payload, and is now designed for autonomy. So the design has been quite updated here. I did this little slider thing situation if you're watching on YouTube or elsewhere, but not audio. You can see like the shape of the roof, the chassis itself has been um, more rounded a little bit. The wraparound windshield has been cut down quite a bit. Now it just goes not even all the way through the door instead of going past the door. And then the headlights are now looking like more like a Cybertruck Model 3 headlights. It's hard to tell because of the make it look like the beam of lights we see all the way through. So, but yeah, much different than the previous one. Also updated the front bumper and the side skirts, fender a little bit. Um, yeah, and there's some things that are confusing. They say more efficient, but they also list an efficiency of 1.7 kilowatt hour per mile, which is what they announced before. So it's like, all right, how is it more efficient then? But to be fair, we did see some real world testing from some early customers that achieve efficiency from 1.55 to 1.73 kilowatt hour per mile. So there's a potential for being more efficient, but also different customers having different payload result in different efficiencies, obviously. So we don't know exactly which is closer. Um, yeah, there was no the in terms of the timeline. They reiterated what they said just last month. Earlier this year, back in April or May, Electrek did report that production and deliveries were delayed into next year, and Dan Priestley, the head of the program, denied it on Twitter. And then just last 2 weeks ago, Tesla confirmed that it's delayed until next year with production aimed for like second quarter, end of first quarter, early second quarter. They aim to start the live build for the production version, and then the second half of the year they're gonna do volume production with deliveries. But yeah, it's still exciting. Still one of the few programs at Tesla that I'm really excited about. Even though they've been so late now that there's actually a lot of competition out there in the electric world, including like the Windrose Chinese Tesla semi clone, which actually very similar performance. So we're gonna have to see the price of that thing because that's gonna be the make or break situation. The cost of operation is obviously likely to be much lower, but we know that the price has increased. So we reported that Ryder said that there was a dramatic price increase, but obviously the price was announced in 2017 and it was $180,000 for the 500-mile version. So is it 200, 250, 300? No, 300 and more would be really expensive. All right. One more Tesla news, and then we jump to non-Tesla news, and that's coming from Tesla in Europe, but hopefully it's going to come to North America too. It's Tesla's Multipass. For those that know the great French film from what's this guy's name? Damn, the French director is escaping me, but the name of the French director. But I was saying Vin Diesel, Jesus, this morning. I'm not doing great. What's the name of the Bruce Bruce Willis? Bruce Willis
Oh.
and Mila Jukovic. That's not because it's too early for me. It's because I cannot pronounce her name. The Fifth Element, great movie, very fun
Yeah.
movie. And there's the famous scene where she's just starting to learn to speak English, and Bruce Willis ends her a pass to get on a spaceship, and she goes Multipass, and Tesla is using the same name for their basically access to third-party charging station that you can use with your Tesla account and pay with your Tesla account. So it's basically a way to simplify the managing of multiple third-party charger account through your Tesla account. And they launched it a few months ago in the Netherlands as a pilot program, and now it's expanding throughout Europe, and Germany, France, and the UK have access to it. Super simple. You go in your Tesla account, you activate it, and then after that, you can use your Tesla key card or your Tesla app to begin a charge session at a third party station, the one that they're onboarded, but you have them in the app.
I hate to
So
say this,
similar
but
to
like, you almost don't need one in the U.S. Like,
yeah, fair.
it's, I mean,
The for
they're just so far behind.
and for everyone that have the plug and play, plug and charge, it's
Right.
uh, it's better, slightly better than that, obviously. But if you don't have that, that's a good option. All right, Xpeng. So that's why I came to Guangzhou this week. Guangzhou. It's to experience Xpeng AI Day, where they unveil all their latest AI related technology. And so there's four things that they unveil basically. Sorry, there are I should say there's one main thing. It's their new model, their new AI model, which is the Xpeng VLA 2.0, a vision center model, which a lot of this is going over my head. Obviously, I'm not an AI expert, but I follow the space, but I'm not an expert in it. And but I see, like, I look at the new papers that come out on it and everything that people that I respect thinks are significant. And I saw that some of the Chinese, like China is doing some great advancement in AI models lately. And one of the big advancements they do is they kind of tokenize the image into, so they skip the language part and the vision everything basically. So instead of being vision plus language into action, now they sort of combine vision and language, leading to action. We've seen it on the LLMs, even that are language based. So that's very recent advancement, and it looks like Xpeng is going the same way basically, and using that for all their AI powered systems. So they're self-driving in their EV lineup. And they announced new robotaxis, so three new vehicles that are going to be dedicated to robotaxi, sort of like Tesla Cybercab, but they a little bit more smarter about that. Instead of being a two-seater, it's going to be a five-seater, a six-seater, and a seven-seater. And humanoid robots, obviously, and then flying cars in quotes, because they're not really flying cars; they are eVTOL aircraft. Even though one of them is coming out of a car, which they called a land aircraft carrier. um, so it's a combination of a vehicle and an eVTOL. And yeah, so first off, obviously so I did a little reporting on the vision language stuff. I think you can read about it. It's very technical stuff, but it's also linked to. So they have in their cars, their trims are mostly linked to the ADAS capacity. So they have Max, Ultra, and now they're announcing Robo, which is level 4 self driving basically, and it's basically you're just upgrading the compute power inside your car. So Xpeng has its own chips, just like Tesla has AI4, working on AI5 and everything. They have the Turing lineup of chip, and basically you can have like then the base one, it's not their chip, it's the orange chip from NVIDIA. And then in the Ultra, you have, I don't know why I left it in Chinese. That's not helping. My Chinese is not that good, but I think if I understand it correctly, the three there, it's 3 AI Turing chips for 2,250 tops. And then you have 4 Turing chip in the Robo version for 3,000 tops. Yeah, so it's a 750 per. And that will enable different level of autonomy. So level 2 for max, and then they're not really talking about level 3 for ultra, but it's more like FSD, so it can do everything, but they're not promising you to have unsupervised capability. And then you have the fourth one, the robot, which is aiming for level 4 capability. So that's the option for getting in the car. And then they offer autonomous driving with that. And I did test their latest version of it in a Mona, which is the entry-level version of Xpeng's vehicle lineup. And so what I tested is their latest one based on the new model, and that's going to start rolling out next month and into next year throughout the lineup, depending on the options. And it's basically FSD V13 in term of capability. So it has door-to-door, parking-to-parking capability. You put your where you want to go in the navigation, where you want to be parked in the navigation, and then it's going to drive you completely autonomously there under your supervision. And you keep an N on the steering wheel. So they have touch sensors on the steering wheel, and they have driver monitoring too to make sure you're looking at the road, but you have to keep your hand on it, and the car does everything. And I posted a full test drive on Electrek this week, 20-minute test drive of it, which was flawless and everything. So yeah, I to be clear, what I'm saying is that it has the same capabilities that FSD V13. So as to use Elon term, it's feature complete in that sense. I don't know with a 20-minute drive if it's better than FSD V14. I cannot say that, but they did test it. Let me go on this post real quick. So during the presentation, they compared it to FSD, I guess V13, because V14 is not available in China just yet. And the CEO Xpeng did say that he's aiming to go to the US soon to test against V14. But with V13.2.9, they did like the exact same route, and FSD completed it in 44 minutes, while Xpeng's completed it in 49 minutes with zero intervention other than one compliance takeover. But Tesla had 7 takeover, but to be fair, 5 of them were about efficiency. So not sure what I mean. One was about, that's a tough one, was about takeover with peace of mind. And then also one compliance takeover. So we talked about it, but a few months ago when Tesla started launching FSD in China, there was some issues with Tesla doing things that you're not supposed to do, and that can result in fines. And since a lot of this fining system for road violation in China is automated, a lot of people were finding themselves with receiving a bunch of tickets from it. So it looks like that's what they're talking about here. But to be fair, apparently the Tesla FSD in China is way worse than it is in the US because they couldn't train on the same data, local data, than they did. So they had to do with other videos. But other than that, it's the same capacity of the system as in the US. All right. So on the autonomous driving front is these vehicles. And then there's these 3 that they haven't unveiled. They just announced them. They said that they're going to go into production next year, 3 robotaxis. I've seen them around. I've seen the prototypes around the headquarters and all wrapped up in camouflage. And they look like bigger SUVs and one a little bit smaller, a 5-seater that's more like crossover, like G6 style size vehicle, but probably going to be modified inside for robotaxi without a steering wheel and whatnot. So those are going to go into operation next year. And Xpeng, unlike Tesla, is more talking about working with partners. So they want to deploy these with partners. So with the robotaxi, they are deploying them with AMAP, which is a giant navigation company in China and in Asia, like a kind of a Google equivalent, Google Map. And for the the FSD that Xpeng has, they call it NGP. I think it's navigation guided pilot. So they have to be. Tesla doesn't call Tesla FSD in China. By the way, they're not allowed to. I don't remember what they called it, but it's another word. So for the NGP, they already have a partner to the Volkswagen is partnering with Xpeng on that. So they are licensing their FSD before Tesla can. Tesla has been looking for trying to make that happen for years now.
What's interesting about Tesla's model? So we know that Elon and Tesla have been touting FSD for such a long time. And the idea that they kind of put forward is that Tesla will be the only company with FSD, and that's why their cars will be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars instead of. So even if Tesla came out with FSD at the same time, these companies seem to be moving ahead. Even if they came out with the same time, market forces are going to push it down. It's going to be valuable, but it's not going to be worth nearly as much as initially postulated.
That's the right takeaway, said, and thank you for reminding me, because it's going to be commoditized. That's what I came out of the experience with, because you can get a Mona Ultra with FSD, equivalent in capabilities. I don't know in overall performance over time, but in capabilities with FSD V14 for the equivalent of under $20,000 in China right now, because I think the Mona starts at $17,000 and the Mona 3, and then it goes up to about $20,000 for the Ultra version, or a little bit less than that even. So there's no subscription fee after that and everything. You get FSD, and so far as what I've seen, it's worked pretty much as good as Tesla. And it's the same thing across our lineup. So if you want to go with the higher end stuff like the P7, the P7 Plus, the G6, they have the X9 right now. Also, they drove me from the airport with it, which was really nice, very smooth ride. It's a nice MPV, fully equipped, and yeah, I came out of the experience with Xpeng thinking that I feel like that's what Tesla was supposed to be. Like, obviously they haven't reached the volume of Tesla quite yet, but in terms of vehicle lineup, I was looking at it, like they have the G6, they have the G7 too now. I think they're working on the G9 that I saw. I'm not supposed to. This is something I'm supposed to say. Let me take that back. But they have the P7 Plus, which is like their sedan, which you could say it's comparable to the higher end Model 3, even like closer to Model S for the P7 Plus, which is a little bit bigger. And the X9, the MPV, they are getting into everything in the segment. The Mono 3 is kind of a little bit smaller. It probably gets some market share for the Model 3, or maybe more for the standard Model 3 whenever it comes out in China, because it's a little bit less luxury inside. But other than that, it's very similar to Model 3. So they have a full lineup now, like a more extensive lineup than Tesla, and they just need to ramp up production, be better known, and they would probably outsell Tesla within the next few years, I think, at least in China. What I talked to a lot of people this week, Chinese reporter, Chinese customers, foreign reporters that live in China and talk about it. For people, there's Mark Renford that I suggest following a lot. He's a British guy that lives in China now, and he's been in the auto industry for a long time, and he reports on this stuff, as a very interesting YouTube channel on it. And one point that he was saying is that nowadays, like, it's the older people that are still buying Tesla. First of all, they are more expensive, so there's better chances that they are in the price range for them. But also, it's because the older people still remember a time where the Chinese brand were much lower quality than they are now. So for them, they're still a little bit worried about Chinese brands. So the foreign brands are a little bit more appealing to them, including Tesla. The younger people are way more interested in the Chinese brands, because they don't remember a time where BYD was kind of sucky, to be honest. And now. And Xpeng, I saw some of the older Xpengs on the road too, and I'm like, that's what they used to look like, because like now they are sick looking compared to the first ones. Xpeng was kind of seen as like a Tesla copycat at first, but now it's kind of going the other way around, with the Model Y refresh looking more like the G6 that they unveiled months ago, months before Tesla. So it's like it's kind of reversing the situation. And another thing they were saying is that they have some statistics where the people in China that are buying Tesla are just looking at Tesla. They go to Tesla and they buy it. The people who are shopping around and trying different cars from different companies, they don't buy from Tesla, which is telling you a lot on how the competition is playing out. All right. The other thing I want to talk about Xpeng was obviously the humanoid robots. That's another thing that you could say that there was a copycat about, like they are just copying Tesla again. Actually, not on this one. This one you cannot say. Xpeng actually started the robot and humanoid robot programs before Tesla. They've been doing a bunch of robots before then. They have a robotic division making like quadruped robots, and then they had like a first generation sort of humanoid robots for demonstration, years prior to Tesla. And then they had their second generation humanoid robot. This one here that gave me like 300. It's mature design and craftsmanship. Remove the sound here. So that robot is the previous generation. So there's not the one that they unveiled this week, but it's using the latest software. And it gave us a little tour of the. They have an experience center at the HQ, and he gave us a little tour of it. And it was untethered. It was moving on its own, and walking not too bad, a little bit better than what we've seen from Optimus lately. And I asked employees around that, there was the employees that had the not the Optimus, the Iron shirt, and I asked them, is it being teleoperated? And they assured me it's not being teleoperated. They even said that it's not even pre-programmed to walk around. Like they have the location they need to get to, but they can take different path if there's something in their ways and everything. So it's not pre-programmed in that sense. So only the speech is giving us a little speech about everything. So the speech is pre-programmed. That's about it. But it was an impressive robot, but that was nothing compared to what they unveiled after. So after they unveiled the this one here, which is the next generation one, that has a lot of upgrades, especially the hands. The hands are brand new. They have 22 additional degrees of freedom. They have so the big innovation that they have, which was unveiled on stage, was the gait when walking is like a catwalk type of gait, and it's very impressive. It's not something that we've never seen in a humanoid robot before, and people even thought that it was a human inside, and they had to open it up to prove that it was not. They say that they achieved that with a few specific innovation, specifically the spine. So they did a bionic spine for it. So with these humanoid robots, you're not really recreating everything that a human is, and they go step by step, and they say, like, do you actually need this? Do you, or can we do something else? Can you do something to the shoulders? Can we do like we can go this way, we can go that way, we can go that way, but like wow, about we can go like completely on the other side of your head or something. So you can do more, you can do less, and have the capabilities that you want. We found out that a spine is actually very useful for walking, for engaging your torso into it, and the hips. So they did it, and it made a big difference. After the event, everything the next day. So I mean, I don't know what date is at this point. I'm so confused, but we had a little workshop with the head of robotics at Xpeng LC. He's called, that's his nickname for foreigners like us that can pronounce his real name. And he's legit. He's like a NVIDIA, like a 10-year NVIDIA veteran, and he moved to Xpeng 5 years ago to lead the robotic program. And the thing with he's very open about it, about the challenges and what they are aiming to do. Same as the CEO, Xpeng. Unlike Tesla, that Elon was on stage yesterday telling people that Optimus is going to end poverty. Everyone's going to have an Optimus in their house within the next few years, and he said some wild things about you don't need prison anymore. Optimus is going to end prison, because instead of putting people in prison, we're just going to give them an Optimus that's going to follow them around at all time and prevent them from doing further crimes, which is about the craziest thing I've ever heard, and only the third stupidest thing that he said during the shareholders day. But yeah, so the Xpeng, honestly, even with the new version that they unveiled yesterday, Tesla, the Optimus, looks to be ahead of Tesla on this, which will make sense. They started earlier, and they're basically spending as much money as Tesla, and they are in China, which has a way better supply chain and closed feedback loop, closed feedback supply chain for robotics. They literally look ahead on this, and they have the software for it and everything. They are being way less optimistic than Tesla on this. So the CEO said that they are designing everything for mass production, okay, and they have the latest version. They are very confident about it, and they think they can bring it to production next year. But they don't want to go crazy with making millions of them, because they don't think the technology is ready for that. They tested it for a year inside their factory, doing what they thought would be like the easiest thing to do to replace a human, which was to tighten screws with, you give them a drill that the same human on the line was using. Because I've talked about this before, but the real value of a humanoid robot is that the deployment cost is way lower, because you deploy them in the same environment that is designed for human, and that reduces your development cost compared to a purpose-built robot that you need to redesign things around the production line to make it work. But it's probably going to be more reliable, longer lasting, more efficient to do. It's just that if it costs millions of dollars to deploy versus a $20,000 robot that you can just replace a human with, it's a much lower cost. There's a big value in that. However, they did that, and what they found is like it's actually not more efficient than a human worker, because the way to do it with the robotics is not as fast, is not as good, but also the cost of it is not as good, because these hands specifically, like you can design these crazy hands that are as close as a human as possible. It's still not as good as a human, but very close. They are so complex that they are easier to break, and when something breaks, you need to replace it. It's like, well, a human, was something we're good at is like cardio, repeatability, and all that. And there's been a lot of advancement in ergonomics on production lines in the last few years, so that humans are actually able to perform works for a longer period of time, and things like that. So they found that there's actually no value in deploying it like that for now. They would need to have a lot of breakthroughs in the robotics and software to make the robots more reliable, cheaper, and to take over those industrial tasks. Same thing, especially when you on the software level for in-home chores, like having your own robot slave at home to do your chores. They don't see that happening soon. Like they think that the safety levels, like you don't want the thing to just step on your dog or something. Like there's also just usefulness. Like we've seen the X1 Neo unveiled a few weeks ago that they said it's shipping next year to do your chores at home. But turns out that it's actually people remotely controlling the robots to do your task for you. That's what it's going to be at first until the software catch up. So that shows you that the software is just not there yet to be actually useful on that front. There's just a lot of advancement that needs to be done on that front. So for now, next year when they enter production with that robot, what they think they want to do with it first is be some kind of tour guide inside the location, some kind of salespeople inside the location where they can show you the feature of the car, can show you around, they can greet you at the stores. They say that they can sell it they can sell it to museums, for example, and things like that. They're gonna be useful for, and they're gonna be able to interact with people, talk to people, bring up the facts, bring them to locations and things like that. This is pretty good, but it's quite limited compared to for Elon's vision of millions and millions of robots to work. It needs to work in an industrial situation, and it needs to work inside people's home, and we're still far from that. Xpeng, the CEO, didn't even want to say when he thinks that's going to happen. At a press conference after that we went to, when pressed, like when really like, come on, just do a guess. We won't hold you to it. Like just do a guess. He said 5 to 10 years. And the head of the program didn't even want to say that. He said, like, look, we don't know what we don't know. There's like every time we come up with some things that we make a great advancement, but something else is just not working. And so we just need to keep pushing. And that's what they're doing for now. And they're also exploring things to see how people react. Like they made a female version of this one. Just seeing people got so upset by it. I was like, why did you do that? Like all the journalists, that was all they were talking about. Like, why a female? And I'm like, why a male? Like if you're gonna do a humanoid robot, like do one. Like who cares? And they didn't say they were doing it like very for any specific reason other than like they wanted to see people's reactions, see how they react to it, and like test things out. But yeah, it's and also they were proud of the catwalk type of thing, which looked a little bit more natural in a female form than even a male can do it. I cannot do it though. I was trying to do it. Like it's actually like harder than it looks. Like it's kind of the thing that if they catch you, they think that you're being inebriated on the road, and they make you like walk like one foot in front of the other. It's you can do it obviously, but it doesn't look natural like a model walking on the catwalk and do it.
Right.
So yeah, basically I came out of it thinking there's going to be a place for humanoid robots. There's some value to it, but it's just not going to be the scale that Elon is talking about. It's not going to be as fast as people are talking about. Like everyone that I talked to that has, that is being realistic about robotics and software was telling me, they're going to sell a few in the next few years for sure, but for real like mainstream use, it's 5 years away, best case scenario, maybe 10 years away for actual like scale for it. And then the last thing was the flying cars. Again, eVTOL, low altitude eVTOL more than anything. There's the I didn't post the right video on this one. This is okay, yeah, this thing here is the main one. So this is the first product. It's the land aircraft carrier. It's a 6x6 hybrid vehicle, so it's electric and has an extended range internal combustion engine in there. And all the back here, you have this thing that folds and fits into it, and this thing is like a 2-seater all electric eVTOL that has a range of like 20 to 30 kilometers of range. They want to sell this thing for $280,000 starting next year, and so there was not a ton of news. Like I said, this is from a Scooter article from 2014, so it was not exactly new. Sorry, but they want to bring it to production. They said like now they're getting ready for it. They are actually building out the production line, and it's gonna be ready for 2026. First delivery towards the second half of the year, and for now, the plan is mostly like people can buy it, and in China they are working on the regulations to make this work. So there's going to be location where you can actually use this. It's purely like a hobby type of thing. So there's not actually like a use case other than fun for this. So the idea is like since this thing is relatively short range with the truck, you can move it to a location, like bring it into the desert and use it in the desert, for example, and have fun with it. Xpeng on its side is looking at what they call flying camps. So they are starting to build those out this year, and they plan to have 200 of them in China next year, where they find like very cool locations where they have these aircraft ready, and people can come and fly them around in those specific area. And yeah, it's they're focusing obviously on redundancy, so you can lose a couple propeller and still land. They have a dual battery pack system in there, so each battery pack can actually power the aircraft. So if one system fails, the other takes over. So there's a lot of redundancy being put in, and they think that they have 7,000 reservation for that thing, by the way.
Yeah, I mean they had that at the Shanghai Motor Show. Like they were taking reservations then. It's like it's a thing. It's happening. It's crazy.
Yep. it's crazy, but like I said, the use case is somewhat limited, and it's depending on regulation. Obviously, they are forcing all the executive that are at. So this is the A Ridge division of Xpeng. So it's like a separate company within Xpeng, and they are forcing all the executive to get 5,000 hours or 5,000 miles in them in the aircraft, so to prove that it's reliable, and yeah, it's coming next year. The second product that they unveiled for flying car, but it's very much not a flying car, is this thing here, which is an eVTOL long range aircraft up to 500 kilometers of range, five or six seater people, six seater, 260 kilometers of speed. So it's a tilted rotor system. So you lift up like that, and then the motor tilts, the propellers tilts, and then you can fly faster horizontally. And it's also an hybrid system. It's not all electric. They have excellent range system in there, but this is more for commuting longer distances as a service. So it's people are not going to buy this. They're going to partner with companies to deploy these. But they have a division like working on these things. Like they pretty much like it. Oh, no, it's weird that the video changed back to this one. That's a weird bug. Never seen that. All right, we're gonna try to move a little bit faster because we're already going on for an hour. But Rivian at their earnings, I didn't have time to look too much. I just saw that they got gross margin positive, but I think mostly because of their software division. So basically, their deal with Volkswagen. Um, yeah, so revenue of 1.56 billion, up 78% year over year. Automotive revenue 1.14 billion, up 47%. 416 millions for the softwares and services revenue, so that's up 224%. So we'd assume mostly because of the Volkswagen deal. Gross profit 24 million in gross profit, so up 416 million year over year from negative gross profit. Still negative on the automotive front, so selling cars is still not a profitable business for them. Negative 130, but up 250 year over year. So if they keep going, like next year, they should be profitable on that. Even though it's going to be touch and go because the R2 rollout is also happening at the same time, and at the beginning the rollout is going to be it's not going to be good on the Rivian financial, but over time it's going to be very good. And profit 144 million on service and software. So they almost making like what 30-40% gross margin on the software stuff. So that's really good. Current outlook for 41,500 to 43,500 deliveries for the year. Capital expenditure between 1.8 1.9 billion, and adjusted EBITDA minus 2 to 2.225 billion. And they decided here to get another spun out company, a spin-off. Like there was also that the e-bike brand, and now there's an AI company, Mind Robotics. So let me read it here. We believe there are synergies shared between the development of autonomous driving and physical AI. In November, we set up a new company, Mind Robotics, and secured approximately 110 of external seed capital. Mind Robotics will focus on the advancement of industrial AI to reshape how physical world businesses operate and leverage Rivian operation data as the foundation of robotic data flywheel. We believe AI-enabled robotics can support a wide range of industrial applications. Okay. So what they're doing here, if I'm understanding correctly, is that they were developing some good industrial AI product for their production system and their logistics system inside their operation, and they were like, we're a huge company developing a lot of these products. We might be able to spin that off and sell that to smaller companies that could use those products. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, and throwing AI onto anything nowadays is a couple $billion.
Yeah, but at least it's a spin-off, so I assume that like it's gonna be like a close financial and everything. So they're not trying to actually, and it's not like a consumer AI product too, so it's not sexy. So I give them points. So like I'm not sure if it's actually like a stock market type of move from them. Oh yeah, the Ford F-150 Lightning pickup might be all dead. So apparently, this is a new report from the Wall Street Journal. So a few weeks ago, we reported that Ford announced that they are pausing production on F-1 Lightning, blaming it on the Novelis plant supplier, aluminum supplier, the fire. But we did note at the time that there's room to be worried about because the timing is also obviously the end of the tax credit, which was a big part of making the program successful, making it the best-selling pickup truck. So now, according to a new report from the Wall Street Journal, Ford's electric pickup may be as good as dead, citing sources close to the matter. That Wall Street Journal's report claimed Ford is now considering scrapping the F-150 Lightning altogether. The move comes after Ford's electric vehicle business program, Model E, lost another $1.4 billion in Q3. So yeah, it's. But there's a next gen vehicle that's coming apparently next year. So also they think that it's going to be maybe too close in terms of vehicle program, so they want to scrap this one to make room on the other one, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense if they have a new vehicle coming. Like, they're not going to name it the F-150 if it's better than the F-150. I don't know.
But at the same time, I think the new one is supposed to be like a little bit smaller, a little bit cheaper. So
right,
I think this probably would have been room for both of them. But we'll see. All right, quickly a little bit of details, and then we're gonna jump into the comment section as fast as we can because we've been going on for a while. BMW i4 2026 has been unveiled. There's been a boost of range, so you now have 15 more miles for the 18-inch version at 333 miles. The 19-inch version gets 207 miles, 12 more miles than the 2025 version. And there's also more power with a new silicon carbide conductor, getting the M60 version to 510 horsepower, 441 more than the last one, and then the M50, no, for 592, that's more. The M60 should be more, no? Maybe a little confusion here in terms of the horsepower, but now the top horsepower is 492 horsepower. The 2026 i4 is going to start at $58,000 for the eDrive 40. And the eDrive 40 Grain Coupe is going to start at $62,300, and then you have the M60 at $77,000, $70,700.
those are like pretty notable improvements over just for a year update.
Yeah, model year. Normally, it's like the battery. They just got some new batteries from the suppliers, and they make a difference. All right, the Toyota is teasing a new vehicle, and some say it's an electric truck. So this is a teaser image here. It's going to be unveiled next week. They refer to it as a major unveiling, a big step for Toyota. And there's this video here coming from, looks like Indonesia. So we don't have a great look at it, but it does look like a pickup truck. Yep. But I don't think, then there's a lightning around everything that, is letting people know that they think it's going to be electric. But I don't like that this is like in Indonesian. So I don't know, is this going to be like a world release?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like we don't get a lot of the same vehicles that are driving around there.
Yeah. All right, we'll see. We'll see next week. All right, let's jump into the comment section a little bit.
All right. Skeptic says you could build out a major national highway speed rail network for $1 trillion. This pay package doesn't do much for the argument that capitalism ensures an efficient allocation of capital.
What's worse? Speak capitalism.
Yeah. I don't need to go through that. It's weird though, because the $1 trillion, I should have mentioned it at the time. Elon gets $1 trillion by owning the stock, and the stock price going up that much. So this is not $1 trillion that he gets. This is going from $1 trillion, an extra trillion, which is bananas.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Think also of the lawsuits where Tesla says it's driver hands-on responsibility. Yeah, that'll be a conundrum to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the lawsuits there are now with level 2 charging, Tesla, IDS system, Tesla's saying to everyone that you're the one responsible and everything. They're flooded with lawsuits. They lost their first jury trial about one, and were found 33% responsible. And there's now dozens and dozens of similar lawsuits happening. Can you imagine if they actually like move to level 3, level 4, level 5 too quickly? It's going to be a kiss of death for Tesla. So I think what we're going to see in the next few months is that, I mean, there might be the removal of the driver monitoring system. This one, I mean, I'm sure there's lawyers at Tesla that are telling like, don't do that. That's crazy. But especially after saying it, like if they were just doing it like quietly and just, maybe it would be harder to argue in court. But since Elon went on stage, it's like, we're going to allow texting and driving, like they are the police or something. Then they're screwed because of that. But yeah, I think Tesla. What I think is going to happen in the near future is that the regulators are going to become Tesla's best friend, where they're gonna be the scapegoat. It's like, oh yeah, I mean, we're basically ready. On stage, he said several times that autonomy is solved, like, or it's gonna be solved. At first, it was like it's solved, and then it was gonna be solved in the next few months.
Right.
So in the next few months, you're gonna hear Tesla is like, yeah, no, now it's solved. It's just that we need to work with regulators to roll it out, and they're being slow and all that. So now we're entering that cycle of autonomy is solved.
Right. Joseph 339, I really don't understand what the shareholders feel they would have lost if he had left. Did they think that it would make the share price fall and never recover? It certainly would have fell if Elon left, but I think it would have recovered at some point.
I mean, not to these level. I don't think that
Right.
Tesla's auto business is worth like 1.5 trillion.
Right.
It might be worth that in the future if it kept growing at the pace that it was growing for years. So to go back to that growth, I think it's going to take a long time. So, you would, if you're a holder of Tesla, you want to hold it, and you would see Elon, vote Elon out and everything, you would have taken a huge hit probably for years and years and years before recovering. Right. So,
and that's why it passed.
Yeah, it's very, for an investor, it's a terrible choice to make.
Yeah, there is no choice really. I text and drive all the time. It's called CarPlay. Yeah, we talked about that, but not integrated to Tesla. Yeah, the CarPlay isn't. Killer app. We talked about that. It isn't. Isn't it law to maintain hands-on interaction on wheel to market sell any auto or self-driving?
No, it's not. So if you have driver monitoring, you can keep their eyes on the road. Actually, not even that. It's not even specific about that. So as the laws are kind of loose in the US on that front, allowing things like that. So yeah, there's some room for it.
Tesla's voice to text works great. I don't understand why people want to physically text while driving. Yeah, I mean, it's not quite as useful as CarPlay's stuff.
Yeah.
But
for me, it's bad, but it's because of my accent. My accent is not great.
It will be a silly demo where it jumps a ramp or something stupid. Okay.
I think it could be technically able to just hover for a few seconds like that. Like I think it could, if it's the fan system that I think it is, it could, fan or cold air roster.
Right. All right. Why? Because they're on the hook for yeah, we talked about that. I work in auto. The pushback means a full retool or tools aren't even moving. Phase 1 of that. All right, we might have to skip some of these.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're talking about.
The whole flying car thing will be a gimmick until somebody totally automates ATC and other airspace deconfliction tasks, which require huge changes in aviation regulations and technologies. Yeah, I mean that's for an airplane. Like these cars are super heavy. It's not even close. It's not. Yeah. That's just not a thing.
At the same time, I'm in Shenzhen right now. I'm in the 21st floor of a skyscraper, and I see drones flying around all the time around here. Like and big drones, like lift drones too. So
with people?
No, not with people, but they're pretty huge. So like if they fall, they fall. It's a big deal. And they have I think it's automated traffic control, because you see them sometimes like traffic holding up, like staying for a while and like letting other drone pass and everything. So,
really?
Yeah.
That's wild. Get some video of that.
Yep.
Some drone DJ content.
Yeah, I have some.
All right.
The first thing I saw here, I came in my hotel, and like they sent me to the rooftop to wait for my room, and I arrive at the rooftop and I see just giant drones just flying by.
Weird. The flying car will never be a thing because nobody should fly a vehicle that is unattended in a Walmart parking lot. Okay, we got some comedy. Robots will replace retired volunteers. Yes, at the first. Imagine if there's already robots specifically designed for tasks and functions. Oh, wait. In production plants, yep. Colin Cronin question, will the Chevy Bolt, be the least expensive EV in the USA? Who will undercut first, Nissan, Ford, Slate? I think it will be the least expensive, although, I don't know if there's still some compliance cars running around. Like, I feel like the Mini still has 125 miles. That might be low priced. Yeah, anyway. I don't know which will be the cheapest, but I think Bolt's pretty far up there. Farley repeated his gripe that they're spending $30,000 for a single vehicle battery, assuming F-150. That's still a massive amount per kilowatt hour. Yeah, Ford doesn't seem to be building efficient EVs, building EVs efficiently. That seems to be a problem. Maybe the new plants and stuff can help with that. Thoughts on the new Formula E Gen 4 line? That would be a Jamie question. He wrote a story about it. I think it went up.
Yeah, I didn't have time to look at it, to be honest with you. I look at the images when they were released, and it looks cool. It looks like a big improvement in design. But yeah, I didn't look at the specs or anything like that. But Jamie wrote a full article on it if you're interested. It's on Electrek right now.
Yep, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening to Electrek podcast this week. Again, I apologize if I was not. I think the podcast got longer too because I'm probably talking slower.
Just rambling.
Yeah, just rambling a little bit. I mean, I might actually go back to sleep because I have nothing planned for the next few hours, and it's still 6 a.m. here. Yeah, I'm staying in China in Shenzhen for the next few days. I'm coming back on Wednesday, I think. So I'm going to be back in Canada for next week's podcast, and I'm checking out a few things while I'm in Shenzhen, including BYD and just taking out the cyberpunk city and everything. So you can follow me on social media if you want to see some of that. But we're gonna have a BYD report on Electrek and also a battery recycling thing if all goes well. That is pretty cool because I think battery recycling is a critical part of making sure that the electric future is a sustainable one. So yeah, you can stay tuned for that. Then thanks a lot for listening, and we're gonna see you same time, same place next week.